It seems like Kylie Jenner is everywhere on social media these days, doesn't it? There's talk about her life, her mansion, the rumors, everything. As a horror storyteller, I couldn't help but get intrigued by the chilling whispers circulating online. So naturally, I decided to dig deeper. I contacted Kylie herself. Yes, I spoke to her directly to find out whether these ghost stories that are flooding the media are true. You won't believe what she told me, what she showed me. After going over the evidence, talking to her in person, it's crystal clear. The stories are true. And Kylie, well, she's braver than most of us could ever imagine. But enough of the buildup. Let's get to the real story, the one that'll keep you up at night, questioning everything you thought you knew. Kylie's Holmby Hills mansion. It's not just any house. It's an estate that breathes history and grandeur with its 20,000 square feet of space, pristine marble floors, and sweeping views of Los Angeles. Everything about it screams luxury, class, and perfection. But there's something else, something that's been whispered through the halls for years now. Not the whispers of the rich and famous. No, these whispers are different. I had to see it for myself. When I first reached out to Kylie, she was hesitant. She had heard the rumors, of course. Everyone had. But she was open to talking about it. So we set a date, and I made my way to her mansion, a place that seemed too perfect to be haunted. The moment I arrived, I felt it. Something in the air, a heaviness, a presence that wasn't entirely welcome. Kylie greeted me at the door with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She seemed tired, worn out, as though the events of the past weeks had taken a toll on her. "I'm glad you're here," she said, but there was something about her voice that made it clear she wasn't glad to be in the house alone. There was an underlying fear in her words. It made me pause. "Thanks for meeting me," I said, trying to make light of the situation. "I've been hearing a lot of talk about what's been going on here. Ghost sightings, objects moving on their own, even a family member who I'll leave unnamed, said something really disturbing happened during one of your filming sessions. Is that true?" Kylie nodded, and her expression grew more serious. "I can't deny it, but I can't explain it either. I wish I could. Everything's been so strange lately. It's like the house has a life of its own." I was starting to feel the weight of what she was saying. It wasn't just a spooky story. It was real. It was something that had been happening in her life, something that affected her, her family, and anyone who set foot in the mansion. "Do you want to show me?" I asked. Her eyes flickered with hesitation, but she nodded. "I'll take you through the house. Just be prepared." As she led me deeper into the mansion, I began to notice things, small things. A door creaking, even though there was no draft. A cold spot near the grand staircase where the air felt unnaturally chilly. It was subtle, but I could feel it. There was something lurking in this house, something that didn't belong. We arrived at the main living room where the first incident had occurred. The place was grand, with floor-to-ceiling windows and plush furniture, but the moment I stepped inside, I felt the air shift. The tension was palpable. It wasn't just the high-end decor or the expensive artwork. It was something much deeper, something ancient. Kylie gestured toward the center of the room. "This is where it all started," she said, her voice soft, almost reverent. "The first time we noticed it, something moved. The vase on the mantel, it just tipped over like someone had pushed it, but no one was near it." I couldn't help but glance at the mantel. There was still a vase sitting there, but it wasn't the same one. It was as though something had been replaced, but I wasn't sure why. It didn't feel right. "I don't know if I believe in ghosts," I said, trying to lighten the mood, but Kylie interrupted me. "You're about to," she said, her voice steady but with an edge of uncertainty, "because I have something that will make you believe." With that, Kylie led me through the house to a smaller, more private room. This room had a different feel to it, older, darker, as though it hadn't been touched in a while. The air was thick, and the floorboards creaked beneath our feet. "What is this room?" I asked, feeling a shiver run up my spine. "It used to be my father's study," Kylie explained, her eyes not quite meeting mine. "And it's where we started noticing strange things. The lights flicker when no one's near the switch. The temperature drops for no reason." She stopped in front of a painting on the wall, a large portrait of a man I didn't recognize. "This is the worst part," she said quietly. "It's the eyes. People who stand too close to it swear the eyes follow them.
I leaned in closer to the painting, inspecting it. The man in the portrait was well dressed with a stern expression, but I had to admit there was something unsettling about his gaze. It felt like he was watching me, like his eyes were tracking my every move. "What do you mean? How do you know it's the painting?" Kylie swallowed hard. "Because I've seen it. I felt it." Just then, the temperature in the room dropped. I couldn't explain it, but I felt it, a sudden rush of cold air that seemed to freeze my blood in my veins. I turned to look at Kylie, who was visibly shaken. "Did you feel that?" I asked. She nodded, her face pale. "This is what happens. The cold spots, the flickering lights, the whispers." I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. "What exactly are you saying? That this place is haunted?" Kylie didn't answer right away. Instead, she turned toward the door, then back to me, her eyes filled with a quiet resolve. "I don't know what's going on here, but I know one thing. It's real, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get rid of it." I stood there, staring at Kylie, unable to shake the eerie feeling settling deep in my chest. The room felt colder now, heavier with each passing second. Kylie's words echoed in my mind. "It's real, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get rid of it." I could tell she wasn't exaggerating. The fear in her voice was genuine. There was something going on in this house, something beyond the usual rumors and speculations. It wasn't just a haunting, it was something much more sinister. Kylie led me to another part of the mansion, a long hallway bathed in dim light. The walls were lined with mirrors, but unlike the ones I'd seen in other homes, these seemed different. They weren't just reflections, they felt like portals, like they were hiding something within them, something waiting to emerge. I followed her in silence, my footsteps echoing against the cold, polished floor. As we passed one of the mirrors, I couldn't help but glance at my reflection. For a split second, my face seemed to distort, just enough to make me question if it was really me staring back. I blinked and looked again, but the image was normal, just as it should be. Kylie noticed my hesitation. "It's happened to me too," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "You look in the mirror, and it's like you see something else, someone else, like there's a shadow just behind you." I shuddered at the thought. "And you're sure it's not just your mind playing tricks?" She shook her head. "No, it's happened too many times to be just my imagination. I've seen things in those mirrors, things that weren't there before." We stopped in front of a door, one that looked different from the others. This one was heavy, reinforced with iron, and it seemed out of place in such a modern mansion. The door was old, worn down by time. Kylie hesitated before she reached for the handle. "This is where it gets strange," she said, her voice tinged with fear. She opened the door, revealing a staircase leading into darkness. The air in this part of the house was thick, and the smell of dust and mildew hung heavy in the air. It felt ancient here, as though time had forgotten this section of the mansion entirely. "Where does this go?" I asked, my curiosity getting the better of me. Kylie's expression darkened. "This was my father's study, but not the one you saw upstairs. This place is different. This is where everything started." With a deep breath, Kylie led the way down the staircase. The steps creaked beneath our feet, as though the house itself was groaning under the weight of whatever it was hiding. We reached the bottom, and I immediately felt the temperature drop. It was as though I had stepped into a completely different world. The walls were lined with shelves of old books and dusty artifacts, each one seemingly untouched by the hands of time. But it wasn't the books that caught my attention. It was what was in the center of the room. There, sitting on an old wooden table, was a book. It was thick, bound in dark leather, and the edges of its pages were yellowed with age. The room seemed to grow colder the closer I got to it, and I could feel an energy pulsing within it, an energy that was almost palpable, as though the book itself was alive. "What is it?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Kylie shook her head. "I don't know, but I've tried to open it before. Every time I do, something happens. I hear voices. I see things that aren't there. It's like the house responds to it, like it feeds off it." I turned the book over, examining the worn leather cover. There were no titles, no markings of any kind, just a smooth, unbroken surface. My fingers brushed the edges of the cover, and suddenly the room grew colder still. The temperature plummeted, and a low, guttural sound filled the air. It wasn't from outside, or even from the house. It came from within the walls themselves. "Do you hear that?" I asked, my voice trembling. Kylie's eyes widened, and she took a step back. "This is what happens. The whispers. Sometimes they scream." I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. "What exactly are you saying? That this place is haunted?" Kylie didn't answer right away. Instead, she turned toward the door, then back to me, her eyes filled with a quiet resolve. "I don't know what's going on here, but I know one thing. It's real, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get rid of it." I stood there, staring at Kylie, unable to shake the eerie feeling settling deep in my chest. The room felt colder now, heavier with each passing second. Kylie's words echoed in my mind. "It's real, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get rid of it."